do? Welcome to the JBOYKS Sports Podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. If you don't love the content, you can still do those things because you could always help a brother out, and you know a brother would always help you out. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our fantastical content. Also, you want to make sure that you comment because I guarantee you I will reply. Ball is life. You know how we do around here. And lastly, hang on towards the end for some other great suggested videos that we know you will love. With that said, let's jump right into it. So to start off today's show, just to give you a quick rundown of some of the topics that we're going to be discussing today, we're going to start off with Joe Mazzulla is kind of brilliant. I don't know if you guys know who that is. I know the real basketball fans will know. Joe Mazzulla is actually the Celtics head coach. I've been following him really since he became the coach. I didn't really know much about him before then, but recently, I like the guy. I like what he stands for. He has a toughness that I think is not natural nowadays, and I know that also he's got a Christian background. For those of you that have been listening for a while, you know that's my background as well, so I respect that. And he talks about it publicly, and you know a lot of people are scared to do that. And for such a high-profile person with such a no-nonsense attitude, I have a lot of respect for that. We're going to touch on my guy, Kobe Bryant. Been a while since we did that. Him being the only person to do these particular things in a decade. We'll discuss that. LeBron wanted to stay. He did not want to leave the cookout, apparently. We're going to discuss that. Ace Bailey dropping the dead weight, known as Omar Cooper. That was his agent. We're going to briefly discuss that. Scottie Pippen says he doesn't know if Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic would actually be able to dominate in his era. We're going to touch on, the idiots at ESPN, their top 10 NBA players. We're going to see if their list is as dumb as they usually are. Steph was voted the greatest American player currently in the league. We'll debate that. Wade came out recently and said that LeBron did not know what he signed up for. He didn't know what he was talking about when he said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rings. And he said, look at my face. You didn't see me going along with that crap. So we'll discuss that. Baker Mayfield. We're going to end it with some football. We'll get more football topics as we go along. But for today, Baker Mayfield, we're going to talk about his comeback. Not really being a comeback. Maybe it was just he left the Browns, you know. Maybe it was that. And Ryan Clark, one of the gifts that keeps on giving, talking about generational talents and how he doesn't think Eli. He doesn't think Peyton, Brees, or Tom are generational talents. So we'll break all those things down. So let's get started with our first story here. Joe Mazzulla. I personally think Joe Mazzulla. I think Joe Mazzulla is brilliant, and I really can't put it in enough words. Maybe it's the biased Christian in me. Maybe it's the fact that I think men need to be men, and I see a man when I look at him. Pause, no diddy. I just think that he's the stuff he stands for. There's no softness about him. You know what I mean? And I don't like soft dudes. In this era that we live in today, there's a lot of soft dudes, and I really would like to go as far away from the softness as possible. So what we're gonna check out is a clip of Derek White talking about Joe Mazzulla and some of the, just different antics. And I say antics, but I mean that respectfully in this case. He just has a different way of going about things. He challenges the norm, and you love to see it. So let's listen to what Derek White had to say about this particular challenge.
We did this thing where if you win a drill, there's a winner, usually the loser runs. But we did this thing where the winners run. You're getting rewarded by running. He's like, we got to change our mindset that winning is the reward, and running is our reward, and we don't get to stand by and just watch. It's hard to win, and so I don't know, it makes it harder. It was actually I think it was a cool message. Is you win, you can't relax. Mm-hmm. You lost. It's kind of weird because you lose. You're
sit down for a second.
But you win, you can't really relax. There's another obstacle. There's another thing. We won. We just competed in that drill. We finally won. Now we gotta do it down and back. And So there's another obstacle to always overcome, and it was a cool message. It was something that I had never heard.
And that's Derek White, NBA champion, really good player. Probably, I don't know if he's made an All-Star team yet. I have to look into it, but he probably should at some point. He's been that good, man. He's talented, great defender, really can shoot the 3-ball. Just a really great player. Like sometimes a role player can be an all-star if they're really, really good. And I think he's one of the best role players I've ever seen. And he really could be an all-star, like a bottom tier type all-star, but he's that good in my opinion. And so what he's talking about is Joe Mazzulla just basically changing the norm, man. And I love it. I absolutely love it. So he's basically saying, like, instead of running because you lost, you run when you win. And it teaches you that it's hard and you can't let up. There is no let up. Just because you won, now you need to work even harder so that you can win again, right? There's no rest for the winners. You know, it has to be a mindset and a lifestyle. And I love that, actually. I love that. I think life is really psychological. And sports, again, as I always say on this channel, is a microcosm of life. And I think that this psychologically messes with your brain and forces you to think that one win means nothing. The idea is you have to work hard to get the next one. So there's no let up, right? And if you're the loser in this situation, you feel that much worse in a way because you're looking at the winners just completely outwork you. You know what I mean? And I think psychologically it does something to your brain. It starts making you think differently, right? Because a lot of people want to win so that they can take a break, so that they can relax and rest easy. Well, what if there is no rest easy? What if you just get up and start working on the next thing? So that was a story that I thought, I haven't really heard too many people talking about it, but once I saw it, I was like, yo, that's fire. That's a great idea. Because, you know, that should be the new goal, right? You win. Okay, what's next? And I think psychologically that can do a lot of good for people. It could do a lot of good for you just in your regular job. You get a promotion. Sounds good. All right, I'm going to work a little bit harder than I worked yesterday. Because then, you know, maybe the next promotion's coming up. And I guess there's limits to that. You don't want to, like, kill yourself, obviously. But psychologically, I think that's a good thing. That can be a good thing. If used properly and well, I do think that could be a very good thing. Always, maybe you look a little crazy if you do it all the time. Depends on how dedicated you are. But at least once or twice here or there, I like it. I like it a lot, you know. So I think Joe Mazzulla, again, is a guy that I have a lot of respect for. I hate the Celtics, but I got to give them some credit. You know what I mean? I got to give them some credit. When you deserve it, I'll give it to you. You know? If you don't deserve it, don't ask me for nothing. Don't ask me for nothing. Jumping into our next topic here, we're going to talk a little bit about that guy, that Mamba. That Mamba. We want to talk about Kobe being Bryant. Now, this particular graphic here shows the true greatness of Kobe Bryant. It says the only player in history to do all of the following in a single decade. 20K points. He actually had 21. 10K All-Stars. 10K, why am I saying K? X. All defensive teams. 9-time All-NBA teams. He's the only player to ever do that in a decade. Again, 20K points, 10-time All-Star, 10-time All-Defensive Team, 9-time All-NBA in one decade. And then if we take a look at this next graphic, you look over a little bit here, it shows all of his injuries, man. And all these injuries within that decade, I believe this is from 2000 to 2010. The boy still played through it, still managed to do, you know, to be great within that time period. So, and I don't know if all these injuries were during that time. It says fractured knee. I thought he fractured his knee at the end of his career. Let me see. Torn Achilles. Yeah, so some of these things, it looks like it wasn't done. Some of these injuries look like they were just the injuries he faced throughout his career. But a lot of these were actually during that time. You know what I mean? So Kobe was something different. And I thought that we should probably spread this out there because, you know, when it comes to Kobe Bryant, if you look at the counting stats, he maybe doesn't have every single one, right? Like, he doesn't have the most rebounds. He may not have the most assists or whatever the case may be. But when you are a real basketball fan and not a casual, and you look at some crazy numbers that they don't even talk about on ESPN because they give you the easy ones. Oh, he's got 10 assists this game. He's got 15 assists this game. He's got 30 points in this game. Okay. That's one way to look at it. But then think about in one decade, in 10 years, you basically did all of these things. It's insane. In one decade, he made the all-star team, the all-defensive team 10 times. 10 times. You realize that people like LeBron James have only even made an all-defensive team, I think, 6 times. So what are we talking about here? What's harder to do? Is it harder to score 25 points in however many straight games? Maybe. But to make 10 I keep saying all-star, 10 all-defensive teams in one decade, that means every year you were at the top and you still led the league in points in that time period? Show me a lot of people that can do that. That's harder, in my opinion. That's harder. If you're a great player and you're a great scorer, scoring 25 over and over again, especially depending on how you do it. I'm surprised Shaq didn't do that more. Because it seemed like something he was doing easily at one point. But when you're LeBron and you never get hurt, you never get injured. I mean, he makes it look easy. But I know it's not easy. I'm not going to rag on Bron for that. And there's other people that have other things, like, you know. But I still don't think. I think scoring the most points and having the most all-defensive teams in a decade is crazy. Being the best offensive player and best defensive player is crazy. So, you know, we got to shout out Kobe being Bryant. We got to give him a little bit of love. We always going to do that on this channel. That's my guy for life and death. And so I thought this was interesting, right? This for a whole decade, right? But I got to throw a little shot at Jeff Teague, because remember when he said Kobe wasn't a great defender? Come on, Teague. Cut it out. Next, let's go on to our next story here. So LeBron, it turns out that LeBron James wanted to actually stay on the Lakers. He wanted an extension from the Lakers. But the Lakers said no. They said, bye, Felicia. Bye, Felicia. See you later. Get out of here. And I'm all for it, man. You know what I mean? And apparently this was reported by... This was on sideline sources, I guess. And I've seen it on other places, too, where they're talking about, you know... They're talking about LeBron James wanted to get that extension. And it says that he really only signed... He only picked up the option because, you know, he had no other choice. And I mean, he had some other choices. He could have reworked his contract to help them get more people, but, you know, LeBron's a petty king. You know, he wasn't going to just let that slide like that. So he's going to try to screw them on the way out, like he's been screwing my Lakers over the last however long he's been there, 8 years or whatever it is. But, you know, he's not going to go out silently. But this is just funny. I mean, we already all knew this. If you're smart and not like a LeBron goblin, you knew right off the jump when he took it, when he picked up that option, he was salty. He wanted to end his career in LA, and praise Ja, he's not going to. This has been some of the worst years of my life because I haven't even been able to fully root for my team because I'm so sick and tired of this guy. So sick and tired. Right? A couple of things could be true. LeBron James can be a great player. He could be one of the best players we've ever seen. He can bring in ratings. He can bring in some highlights here or there. But he's also a headache. He's a prima donna. He's got a million antics. He has a hard time just getting the heck out of the way and staying out of the spotlight, so you constantly have to see him everywhere and everything that you do for no reason. He values his own stats over actually winning. He loses all the time. He's a loser, bro. His last, I think he's won 2 of his last 16 playoff games or something crazy like that. With Anthony Davis on his team, and then now he had Russ, he had Carmelo, he had all these guys, and he didn't make the playoffs. And then now he had Luka Doncic beat in the first round, only won 1 game against the T-Wolves, man. Getting pushed out of the lane by somebody that weighs like 100 pounds less than him, and Ant-Man. So, you know, I'm not going to sit here and play this game with people like LeBron James, but specifically LeBron James in this case. I don't feel sorry for this man at all. Everything he's been doing to us, getting all my young guys traded, saying he's going to activate playoff mode and not activating crap. Nothing. Not activating shizzle. No, not activating shiitake mushrooms. Nothing. Zilch. Nada. Nothing. He couldn't even activate I don't even have words for it. Terrible. Missing the playoffs. Anthony Davis got hurt. Couldn't even extend the series a little bit. Was talking all that trash. Got smacked out by the Suns. Can't beat Joker. Can't touch him. Mainly because he's a fraud at the end of games. He was like 2 for like something crazy. Like 2 for 24 or something on the Lakers. And he only scored his last game-winning basket, I think, because Luka missed and airballed, and he got the rebound and put it back. I don't know if he airballed. He might have missed just off the rim, but LeBron has been a failure in LA for the most part. Yeah, he won that bubble championship. But the truth is, that wasn't. It counts, but as a Laker fan, I don't even look at that and be like, "Oh my God, so happy." Nah, that wasn't what Kobe and them was winning over the years. So forcing us to make JJ Redick the coach, forcing his son into the league, who's not ready. Will Bronny ever be ready? I don't know, and I don't care. I just don't like the way he forced him onto my team. Anything LeBron said at all last year, any complaint he or Maverick Carter or what's that other clown's name? Who's the agent? Rich Paul. Why do you got 2 first names? Why they got 2 first? And LeBron too. LeBron Ramon James. He got 3 first names. The freak is going on around here? Don't trust these ninjas with all these first names. don't trust them. All the gaslighting. Get out of here, man. It's time to go. 1 more year. That's all I gotta say. 1 more year, and he's out of here. And Lord knows I can't freaking wait. I can't wait, man. Get this guy out of here. Let him go. Bye, Felicia. Adios, amigo. Arrivederci. What other languages we got? I don't know. Pick one. But the king ain't gonna be forever on this team. He ain't gonna be forever on the Lakers. I'll tell you that. Which begs the question to ask, where the heck is he going after this? But I do know one thing, it's going to mess up his legacy at least a little bit. Dude don't even know where he going. What a shame. All right, so let's fly over to our next topic here. Our next topic that we need to jump into is, what's next on the list? Ace Bailey dropping the dead weight, man. Ace Bailey getting rid of that dead weight. That's the weight we don't want. That's that weight we don't like. You know what I mean? That's that weight we don't like. And so essentially, Ace Bailey, for those of you that don't know, is one of the top picks. Should have easily been one of the even further picks. In fact, when did he get drafted? Let me see. What draft pick was Ace Bailey? He was 5. Probably could have went higher. But he was 5. And he was 5 possibly because of his agent. So what we see here, if we read the article at the top, it says, Ace Bailey's NBA journey has already been full of drama, and it didn't even really start yet. The Utah Jazz's number 5 pick in the 2025 draft has officially split with manager Omar Cooper, ending a short but controversial partnership. Cooper played a central role in Bailey's pre-draft process. Reports say that he even told teams that Bailey might refuse to report if drafted, stirring questions and tension across the top of the lottery. The drama didn't stop after the draft. The Jazz briefly considered giving Cooper's son a summer league coaching role, but the NBA reportedly stepped in to stop the plan. So it looks like he was trying to scheme. My guy Omar Cooper thought he was LeBron James. Thought he could sneak a son in like that, huh? But in LeBron James' defense, Danny Ainge, I believe, is the GM of the Utah Jazz, and he technically has done the same thing. I don't know all the specifics, but apparently one of his sons was working with him on the Celtics, and is now assistant GM or something like that on the Jazz. So, this guy Cooper was up here basically trying to do the same thing, but he don't got that level of clout yet, it seems like. So the NBA, did they say what did I just read? The NBA, yes, the NBA reportedly stepped in to stop the plan. They said, you ain't LeBron, boy. You ain't Danny Ainge, boy. Now, with Cooper out of the picture, Bailey gets a fresh start because it says it cut ties with him. No distractions, no off-court drama. Just him, the Jazz, and a chance to show why he was a top 5 pick. So, first of all, Bailey is out of Rutgers. I'm a New Jersey person. I'm from New Jersey. I live in New Jersey. And he played on the Scarlet Knights. I've seen him play in person once or twice. Very good player. Very good player. But apparently he was dancing with the devil with this guy, man. And this dude, I mean, I don't really know him. I can't speak too much on who he is. I really don't know. But what we do know, like I said, is he had a son, at least one of his sons. Omar Cooper has a son named Sharif Cooper, I think. And Sharif was playing overseas as of recently, but he was in the NBA. He played like 13 games and then was in the G League and never really hit off, and then was overseas and stuff like that. And part of the problem was they said that his dad, who was Omar Cooper, put him out there too fast. You know what I mean? He said he put him out there too fast. They thought he should have gave him another year, and he did it, and he forced him out there, and his son just never really stuck in the NBA. So now they kind of saw that seemed to be what was happening with Ace Bailey. Apparently Cooper has his own agency, but he may not actually even be a certified agent, is what they're saying on top of that. But according to what was said, like you saw here in the graphic, they said that and let me read another thing I found here. Bailey's pre-draft workout strategy perplexed observers, and he didn't conduct a single known workout. So he didn't work out for anybody. And apparently Cooper said that he wanted him to be drafted to a team in the East, preferably in between New York and Atlanta, because that's, Rutgers is in New Jersey, and that's where he was. He was a Scarlet Knight. And apparently he didn't even let anybody talk to Ace Bailey. He said, you have to talk to me or nothing's happening. And let me just see here. I just want to check. I'm interested to see if Ace Bailey grew up in a single parent household. I'm just going to Google that. Did Ace Bailey grow up in a single parent household? So his biological father was not consistent in his life, but he was raised in a 2-parent household by his mother, Ramika McGee, and his stepfather, Antoric Wilson. Okay, so he had some male presence there, which is good. Then I don't really know how this guy Cooper really got his mitts on him. But to me, looking at this story from the outside in, I see somebody that saw the ability to take advantage of somebody. Maybe he really did like him. I don't know. I don't know the relationship. I'd have to see more that comes out of that. But I'm just not a fan of not acting right. You know what I mean? I'm not a fan of that. I know different rules for different folks. people like LeBron James seemingly get whatever they want, and they don't care who they hurt in the process. You know? But that doesn't make it right. You know what I mean? And I know these teams are shady. I know other people are shady, but to me, I just believe in carrying yourself with a level of class and respect. And to go out there and to disrespect the draft process, everybody else got to work hard for everything they get. If you want to sit up there and act like you don't have to work hard, that's crazy to me. The greatest players of all time worked out for somebody. The Dwyane Wades, the Carmelo Anthonys, the Kobe Bryants, the Dwight Howards. You know, Dwight Howard, Kobe, Tracy McGrady, KG, they came out of high school. And they worked out, and they were top prospects. I'm sure LeBron worked out. I never heard too many stories of LeBron working out, but I'm sure he worked out at least once or twice. You know what I mean? All these great players worked out. What makes you think you don't have to? You know what I mean? And I just, there's a respect level that should be there. Telling teams you can't draft me or I'm not showing up. Listen, man, you're fortunate that you were born. God gave you the height and the skill to play a game for a living, and you're gonna make millions of dollars. You know, overly worrying about where you're going, I get it, but also, like, be thankful, man. Telling people don't draft me. How many people wish somebody would draft them? So I think there's a balance. You do have to know your role, know who you are. Maybe you can get away with some more than other people, but don't disrespect the whole process. That's my thing. My thing is just don't disrespect the whole process, because there's a lot of people that are great that you look up to, players that you've seen in the past that worked real hard. And what makes you think you don't have to work hard? And then on top of that, there's so many other guys that are trying to be where you're at, and they're struggling to get on like you're on. And even with all that crap, you still got drafted 5th. So, you know, I just look at trying to do things the right way, man. You know what I mean? I know things can be cutthroat with all this money and everything going on, but hopefully from here, Ace Bailey will be able to just stay on a straight and narrow path and keep it moving, you know, in a way that's all about basketball, building his brand properly, showing that he's a hard worker, showing that he's not uncoachable, showing that, you know, he's smart enough to take good advice. And I hope he's surrounding himself with somebody that will give him good advice. And, you know, it doesn't have to be soft, but, you know, you don't got to go in and shake up everything all the time, man. You know, this idea that progression and being progressive is always great, that's not always the case, man. There's little details and lessons that get lost when you try to be too cute. And that's just how I look at it. So I never thought I'd be talking about Ace Bailey, but I saw this and I thought it was interesting. So I decided to, you know, make it one of the topics that we went over today. So that also, I thought it was interesting. So let's move on to our next thing here. And Scottie Pippen, another one of those gifts that just keeps on giving, man. My guy, Scottie. So if you look at the first graphic here, as you can see, Scottie Pippen says he is unsure whether Luka and Jokic, I don't know which one it is. That's why I just be saying Nikola Joker. Either way, he said, I'm not sure they would have dominated in his era. And then, if we move over to this next graphic, it says, I didn't know if they could dominate. In the 80s and 90s, we used to press all over the field. Court, I hope. Could Jokic, I'm going to say Jokic. Jokic is easier. Could Jokic bring the ball up against such pressure? I don't know. Sure. He can see the court and pass very well, but I don't know if he would have been comfortable bringing the ball up from the back with that pressure. Interesting. So, when I think about this, and we could say whatever we want about Scottie Pippen, what we can't say is that he wasn't one of the top 75 greatest players of all time. What we can't say is that he's not one of the best defenders I've ever seen. I actually think he's a better defender than Michael Jordan. I know he didn't get the Defensive Player of the Year award. Kobe didn't get that. I don't think Tim Duncan ever got that award either. But that goes to show you, again, a lot of these awards are chosen. You earn them to an extent, but a lot of these are chosen by men that could or could not like you. So I take some of those things with a grain of salt, even MVPs. But we do know that. We know that You know, Michael Jordan doesn't win 6 championships without Scottie Pippen. We know that. So when he speaks, even with his beefs with Michael Jordan and some of the crazy stuff he says, you still got to give that man respect. When he walks into a gym, just know that there's few people on the planet that deserve more respect than Scottie Pippen, if I'm being honest. And I do kind of agree with him here, though, because I think they would put the work on these guys, man. I think they would put the work on them a little bit. I can't say that Luka Doncic's skill level is crazy, right? His skill level is crazy. His ability to make tough shots is on another level. His ability to handle the rock and make people switch direction with literally every dribble. When you watch him play, I don't even know how he does it, bro. I don't know how you learn that in Slovenia or wherever he's from. He's not Lithuanian. Slovakian, I don't know where he's from. I got to look it up. No disrespect to my brothers and sisters from whatever country he's from. But I don't know how he learned that over there. I don't see them dribbling like that. I don't see nobody else on his Olympic team dribbling like that. But with every dribble, he turns you. He makes you turn and make a decision. You know, that's crazy. But you go back to that time period Scottie Pippen's talking about, they got hand checking. You notice a lot of people aren't being that cute with the ball. Also, the carrying and all the stuff Luka be doing, you know, all of them be doing. You can't get away with that in that era. So you had to, like, really just straight up dribble. And you didn't see a lot of them dribbling and dancing in front of people because when you could hand check, you could steal the ball more easily. That's why you would see guys like Mark Jackson and John Stockton walk you up the court. Baron Davis said it in one of his, on his podcast with Draymond, I think. He was like, yo, one of the coldest, meanest players I ever played against was John Stockton. He will back you up the court, walk you down to the free throw line and run his offense. You know, that's different. You know what I mean? That's different. So I can't sit here and say Scottie's 100% wrong. It's hard for me to believe that Luka wouldn't still be an all-star some way, somehow, but I think some of the things he does now is not happening. I think the way you can get a step back off now is not happening back then. They may just blow the whistle. It might not happen just because of the rules. So you take that away from him, how does he create the same level of space? With the strength of these guys? I mean, Luka's not a small dude, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I tend to believe that some of Luka and Joker's greatness is due to the time period. And so moving on to Joker, I think he's still going to be tough. I mean, the skill level is insane. The passing ability is insane, but Scottie does have a point. Some of this center forward stuff, I don't know if he just walks the ball up the court like that. You put Scottie Pippen on, we saw what Alex Caruso did to him. And maybe his numbers were still good, but Alex Caruso was in his behind. Pause, no Diddy, no bad boy. No take that. You know, he was in his behind. Changed the whole game. 6'6". Balding young man. Shut him down. Not shut him down, but tripped him up. Big time. Now you switch Caruso with Scottie Pippen. Arguably. Not arguably. He is one of the best defenders of all time. The arguable part is where you put him. But you'd be hard-pressed to find a better, more elite player. And just the length, all of that stuff. Pause. Right? Pause, no Diddy again. Scottie was tough, man. You let him put his hands on you, let him hand check you. Joker, you're not walking the ball up the court like that, man. You're not walking the ball up the court like that. It's not going to be easy. And they could be more physical. They could jack you up when you get in the paint. And some of those guys, the Bill Whittingtons, the Cartwrights, Lute Longley, Horace Grant, those guys were physical, man. And they weren't even the elite ones. But they were physical. And I don't know if Joker's ever played that level of physicality. I tend to believe he'll still be nice, but something would change. Even the rebounding. Like, you fighting for position with those guys. Joker's not really used to playing against a lot of real tough big men right now. Does that mean he's less elite? No. But I do think that time period, they'd have to figure out some different strategies. I think it would rough them up and mess them up a little bit. I do believe that. For both of them. I'm not saying they're not elite, but I think the way the game is played now helps them. The lack of physicality sometimes helps them. And I think it would be different for them. So I'm not mad at what Scottie said. I can't full-heartedly say they would just be not the same or not good, but I think Scottie has a point. I think Scottie has a point, right? So, I mean, what do you think? Do you think Scottie has a point? That's what the comments are for. Hit up the comment section, man. And I should have been saying it all throughout this. I'll make sure I start doing that more. After every segment, I want to leave a question, something that you can comment on. But then again, not all of the segments will be like this. So, meaning that this is the full joint right here. But there's also one that you'll see that I'm doing now where they'll be broken up. So you'll be able to take on and look at individual topics. But for this one, that's a great question. Do you agree with Scottie Pippen? Do you think they wouldn't be able to just back people down and do some of the moves that they're doing? I actually agree with them to an extent, but does that mean they still won't be great or effective? I don't know. What do you think? Next. Here we go again with ESPN. ESPN sucks. I hate ESPN. The sad part is most of my life I was an avid fan. Loved everything about ESPN. Now I hate a lot of it, man. I don't really watch it. I just catch clips on the internet, but I don't really watch it no more, and it's a shame because there was a time in my life where it was a big deal. But all of these lists and the things they do, and they have no explanation for it. If they came out and explained it, if they had somebody that was able to explain it, or they explained it to some of their broadcasters and the broadcasters could explain it and discuss the list, I would like that better. This idea that they just throw them out and then we got to do all the work, I mean, I guess it's good for me, but I be getting mad because I'm like, yo, what is your reasoning? Bleacher Report tried to do that, and they sounded dumber, actually. So I don't know if ESPN is trying to avoid looking like an absolute idiot as a group. But let's jump right into this. So obviously, you see right here it says 2025, 2026 NBA ranked top 10 players. You see SGA in the middle, Luka and Joker on the sides, and then on the furthest out, you see Giannis and Wemby. This is a little racist. What is this? What is this? Black, white, black, white, black. What is this? I'm joking. But let's jump into it. Number 10, Jalen Brunson. I like it. Jalen Brunson is one of my favorite players currently in the league. I think he is arguably the most skilled player in the league. Obviously, there's a few guys right up there with him. But I think the way, at his size and how he plays his game, he's tough, man. He posts people up. He's what, 6'2"? He's tough. And I love everything about Jalen Brunson's game. I think he needs to be a little bit better of a defender. He probably tired running that whole offense like that. We'll see what they do without Tom Thibodeau. But, I mean, Mike Brown, he had the Kings cooking on offense, but they sucked on defense. So I don't know why they hired Mike Brown, man. Mike Brown seems like a fun guy to play for, but to me, he can never put it all together at the same time for whatever reason. But we'll see. So Brunson at 10, I'll say okay for that. Number 9, Kevin Durant. Okay. But I don't know, man. When people, I just feel like if you're in the top 10, you should be on a winning team. And I know people say, well, this is an individual thing, but if you're an elite player, if you're that superstar player, then any team you're on should have a chance, for the most part, with a couple of good pieces. This guy had Devin Booker and Bradley Beal and Yusuf Nurkic and whoever else they had on that team, Grayson Allen. He had enough players to at least make the freaking playoffs, and he didn't. I'm hard on Kevin Durant because I'm tired of people telling me how good he is, and he just keep losing. He ain't done nothing since he left the Warriors, and the only reason he did anything on the Warriors is because Klay Thompson and Steph Curry were on that court. I don't care about Draymond Green, so I'm not going to bring him up. But, yeah, man, come on. So I don't know. I I would try to find a way to take him out. I'd literally rather put Donovan Mitchell in this spot. I'd rather move Brunson up to. I'd rather move, or Jaylen Brown, because I bet you he's not on this list. I'd rather move one of them up here and take Kevin Durant off of it. Put him at 11 for not making the playoffs. He needs to be punished. Number 8, LeBron James. I'm not mad at it. Still putting up numbers, but I mean, actually, I am mad at it. If anything, he should be 10. And I'm going to tell you why. The Lakers are worse when he plays. When he's on the court, they're worse. His PER was like, I think, negative this season. He's the only person that made an All-NBA team with a negative PER, or excuse me, not PER, box plus minus. He had a negative box plus minus, and he's the only person that made an All-NBA team. Who's ranking this stuff? Who's choosing these things? So again, to me, nah. Freak that. Not doing it, man. He's got to be outside of my top 10 too. Just for that. Because I feel like there's got to be another player that's more impactful than what he did last year for the Lakers. There has to be. So, in my opinion, I reward winning and impact. And LeBron, his impact, if you look at the box, and again, everybody loves stats when they talk about LeBron James. Look at the box plus minus. Look at the turnovers. Look at his defense. That should count. You know what I'm saying? 7, the Chef. Fine with it. The Warriors struggled at the beginning of the season. Steph ain't really have no help. And it's not because he had zero help all the way. It's just because Andrew Wiggins, I believe, was there. What the heck was he doing? I don't know what's up with Wiggins, man. Sometimes he's up, sometimes he's down. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Pause. No bad boy. No Ric Flair. Woo! All right. Steve Kerr doesn't know what the heck he's doing. He's running like a wild mongoose. Draymond Green is still kicking people in the nuts. Should have got rid of him, but didn't do that. And Jonathan Kuminga, Kerr has no idea what he's doing with him. And if I'm Kuminga, I'm out. But that's the story for another day. But I'm just saying that to say Steph Curry at 7 is fine. I'm comfortable with that. I definitely like the Chef more than I like Bron or KD. Definitely like the Chef more. I think the Chef has built more. He's been on the same team. He's worked towards things. He earned this spot. His box plus minus isn't garbage. His team made the playoffs and really was looking like they were looking good. You look good. Girl, you look good. They were looking good until he got hurt, unfortunately. Right? So, I don't know. And they got Jimmy Butler now, so I actually think 7 is fine. Let's see who else. Let's see the rest of the list here. Let's see what else we got. Anthony Edwards, number 6. Now, I actually would put Steph over him. Ant-Man really didn't play unbelievable in last year's playoffs. And to me, it's because his game was more predictable. He stopped attacking the basket as much, and he wanted to shoot all these threes. So he accomplished that goal. I believe he led the league in three-pointers made, but you took away from some of your aggression. Your game was mad easy to figure out, in my opinion. You're either going to shoot the three or drive all the way to the basket. He's not a great passer. He's a pretty good defender. But you got to play the all-around game, man. You can't just spam threes. That didn't work for James Harden. Why would it work for you? Harden was more talented at it than you are. You know what I mean? So if it didn't work for James, it ain't going to work for you, bro. That's not how you win championships. Now, they've been saying that he's been looking at Kobe and Mike tapes. But you don't just become Kobe and Mike after you launch 1 million three-pointers the season before, bro. So I'll take that with a grain of salt, and I'll believe it when I see it. You know what I mean? But I would put Steph at 6 as of right now and move him back. And so I probably at the end of this should make my top 10 list, and we'll see. I got to see everybody that's on this one first. So Ant would move back. I'd put Steph 5. Wemby. I wouldn't put Wemby up here this early yet either. I would move Wemby to 6 and move Steph up 5. Now, Wemby's an animal. He's going to be a monster. There's no getting around that. He looks a little bigger here. That's scary. He puts some weight on him like Giannis. He's going to be tough. But his team didn't make the playoffs. He got hurt. Didn't finish out the season. I like his mindset. I like the way he thinks. I like the way he trained with some monks to get his head right. I like everything about Wemby. I like the way he speaks. I don't think he's glamorized with the nonsense that a lot of NBA players that are American-born specifically are caught up in. But I need to see more. I need to see more from him. You know what I mean? And I would put him over Kevin Durant, and I would put him over LeBron James because he didn't finish the season. He's a better defender than both of those guys. I don't know if he's quite the offensive player that they are, especially not Kevin Durant. But I think right now I would put him over them. But is he ultimately much better than them as of today? I don't know. But again, for me, I'm factoring in some other things here. He plays both sides of the ball. He's still young. I do think the Spurs would have made it if he was healthy, and they got a nice squad this year. So I think I could see. I would put him behind Ant and Steph, and man, I might want him closer to 10 though, because he's not winning nothing yet. I always go by the wins. I'm sorry. You got to show me something when it comes to winning. You got to be one of the best winners too, for me. So maybe I put him 10. I will move LeBron and KD out, or maybe put LeBron 10. Maybe I put LeBron 10. I put Wemby 9. Durant's got to go out. He's got to go 11. LeBron 10, Wemby 9. I got to write this down. Just give me a second, guys. I'll do it at the end. So Wemby 5, I would put Wemby at 10. Not just because of talent, but because you got to show me something. Giannis at 4, fine. Actually, no. Giannis does have to stop losing in the first round. It's getting kind of disgusting. But I'm guessing Luka's 3. Yes, Luka is 3, as we see here. But I don't know, man. I feel like... Giannis and Luka. I got to take Giannis over Luka. Luka is a trash defender. You know, trash defender. And I just like Giannis over Luka. I mean, Luka and Giannis has a championship, so I'm going there, man. He's shown that he can get to the top and finish it. I would have to put Luka Doncic, and I'm a Laker fan, so now we got him, and I was never a big Luka Doncic fan, but I'm trying to do my best to hang in there with him. So, but I actually think I think he'll grow on me. He's saying a lot of the right things. And we'll see, man. I think he's ready to continue the legacy, and he's getting rid of LeBron. He's forcing LeBron out, so I love that. I love that. You know. But I think I would put Giannis. I put Giannis over him. That's what I would do. All right, I would have Giannis over him. Moving into the next thing here. Number 2, I'm gonna guess is Joker. Oh no, it's SGA, I think. Right? Let's see. It's SGA. Reigning MVP of the regular season and of the finals. Built his own team from scratch for the most part. Now has some good players around him. And youngest team I think I've ever seen win a championship. They may be the youngest team ever to win a championship. Still in the midst of building his dynasty. Of the last couple of champions, the only one that looks like he's really ready to compete and repeat. So they got him 2. I'd put him 1, and then obviously at number 1 we have the Joker. And I mean, Joker is one of the only players I've ever seen where I think his defense is very sketchy at best, but he's so good overall that like it's hard to like take him out of the top, man. Like he does everything well except defense. He seems to be a great team player. He leads his team. He doesn't make excuses. He likes to ride ponies. Pause, no Diddy. You know, he's tough, man. And he says a lot of the right things. you know, you gotta love Joker. You gotta love him, and he leads his team, man. He really leads his team. Denver is nobody without him. You know what I mean? Nobody. So, but I feel like for me, I got SGA 1. I had him 1 all last season. I feel like that's where he needs to be. I think he deserves that. He earned it because not only did he take his team to a championship, I actually think he's been, you know, building a dynasty. I think he's in the process of building a dynasty. And that's the difference between him and Joker and Giannis. Joker and Giannis were a flash in the wind, but they didn't act. You know, they didn't really start a dynasty. Now they've been good, and Giannis' team has been struggling a lot more lately. But Joker's team has been good, but never as great as that first championship they won. But I will give Joker this. They got rid of Bruce Brown. They got rid of Jeff Green. And I really feel like that messed up the team a little bit. And then they got rid of KCP. You know, that hurt the team a little bit. So, but now they picked up some guys. They retooled. So that's going to be interesting. But, yeah, I would have SGA 1. So this list is not terrible from ESPN. It's not the worst list. By far not the worst list I've seen from them. But if it was up to me, what I would do is I would have SGA 1. I'd have Joker 2. I'd have Giannis 3. 4 would be Luka for me. 4 would be Luka. 5, I'd put Steph. You know, and if Steph would have went further in the playoffs last year and not gotten hurt, I might have put him over some of these guys. I really might have. You know. But where's Jason Tatum in this, man? See, no. See, this is what we can't be doing up in here, man. We can't be doing that up in here. So for me, at worst, Tatum 6. Tatum has got to be 6. Joel Embiid, who knows what he is or isn't doing, so I'm not gonna add him anywhere near around this. Tatum, I think I'm gonna go Don Mitch. So Donovan Mitchell would be my number 7. I would put. Who else would I add into this? Let me think. I put Jalen Brunson 8. Number 9, I put Wemby. And number 10, I really want to go Jaylen Brown. I honestly, that's really where I want to go. I really want to go Jaylen Brown. I know people think I'm crazy for that. But to me, if we're talking about most effective players that lead to winning, right, that also put up good stats, I'd rather see Brown there than LeBron and KD. So I'm going to put LeBron 11 and KD 12. And again, some of y'all may not like my list. You may think I'm out of my mind, but I'm talking about winning. They're going to have some stats. They're going to be good. They're going to do that, but they're also going to win. And the only reason why I have Wemby over the winners, the people that Braun made the playoffs, Jaylen Brown made the playoffs, KD didn't. But I think Wemby is a generational talent that I believe if he doesn't get hurt last year, they do make the playoffs. I do think that. And I do think that on both sides of the ball, he's a far more effective defender than Bron and KD. Maybe not quite the scorer yet, has the potential to be. This is probably going to be a crazy season for him. But he's still got to win more. So I got him 9. I make the exception for not making the playoffs because I thought if he was healthy, they would have made it. And that's my list. So SGA 1, Joker 2, Giannis 3, Luka 4, Steph 5, Tatum 6, Don Mitchell 7, 8 Jalen Brunson, 9 Wemby, 10 Jaylen Brown, 11 Bron, 12 KD. So Bron and KD would not be in my top 10 personally. If we're talking about now all time, obviously they're better than these guys, except maybe SGA in my opinion. Well, no. All time, they're better than these guys as of right now. Yes. Bron and KD are still above these guys all time today. But as far as this year, right now, this year, Bron without Luka is not taking the Lakers to the playoffs. KD without we'll see what KD does this year. Y'all are real high on him, but we'll see. And if anybody can do it, I would say it's Ime, because he's a powerhouse coach. But I'm not sold on Bron and KD doing anything outside of circumstances. That's what makes him great. Steph is like them, but he been on the same team, been chugging along, caught lightning in a bottle last year, and the injury is the only thing that really stopped that, because that train was moving, boy. You know what I mean? Moving. So that's ESPN's top 10 list, but I gave you my top 10 list. You think I'm bugging? You think ESPN had a better list than me? Which one of us was better? Their list or my list? Hit me up in the comment section. Balls Life. Let me know what you think. You know what I mean? Let me know what you think. Moving right along, we got a few more topics. Steph Curry. We're going to go with Steph Curry. Jump on that real quick. So recently, Stephen Curry was voted the best American player in the NBA. And I know that hurts a lot of people. A lot of people were probably extremely upset. They were disgusted. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, man. The chef is the best. And I've been saying that for a long time. I think Stephen Curry doesn't get his due justice. That sounds crazy. Please don't demonetize me, even though I'm not monetized. But he doesn't get his just due. Because, you know, Durant went over there and everybody, Durant's the best player, blah, blah, blah. You know, everybody cries and complains about that. But at the end of the day, Steph Curry is still playing at a high level. He's the only person that has his own team. Really, you know. Well, other guys do, but his team's been relevant for over 10 years, man. And he's still cooking people. And until he got hurt in the playoffs, his team was going places. Right? They were going places. Now, if you look at the graphic right behind it, this next one here, it says here that Steph Curry had 11 votes. I think this is by the GMs or something like that. First, let me see. Does it say here? No, it doesn't say. But I think it was by GMs. I'm not 100% sure. But Steph Curry had 11. Anthony Edwards had 8. Donovan Mitchell had 1. Okay, now it says before Tatum's injury, this question wouldn't have been on the survey at all, given the Boston Celtics superstar wing was coming off first-team All-NBA honors for a 4th consecutive season and won the NBA title a year ago. But with Tatum out of the mix, the honor instead was given to Curry, despite him being 37 years old and entering his 17th NBA season. And somebody said he's still the guy who scares me the most, in the Eastern Conference Scouts said of Curry. And, you know, you got to give Curry his credit, man. Got to give him his credit. And whoever wrote this, you got to give them their credit, because it's better than the crap that we've been seeing. I just did a ESPN top 10 list, and I will give them credit. They did have Steph Curry over LeBron James and Kevin Durant, but I don't really think it's even close. I don't think Kevin Durant and LeBron James are... I don't think going into this season they deserve to be top 10 players. Unless you're going by nostalgia and just history. If that's what you want to do, then yeah, obviously they're two of the... If there's a what is that word? A trilogy or a... What do they call that in some... whatever it is. Some Christians believe Trinity. Yeah, the Holy Trinity. You got Steph, KD, Bron. If you believe in that, then yes, they are better than everybody else if you're looking at the overall careers and everything. But if you're looking at this season right now, I think Steph is the only one who has a valid argument to say, like, yo, I actually still am the best player amongst us in the league. I think the other two are riding off of other people. And I think their love kind of goes up and down, where I think Steph's is, when he's playing, he's giving everything he has with everything he has. So I actually like this. I know there's probably some LeBron fans losing their mind, but like I told y'all already on this channel, to me, Steph is better than LeBron James. I'm putting him. I still haven't figured out how I would work that in my overall top 10, but as of right now, the decade, the time period, it goes to Steph, in my opinion. This is a Steph era until he says I'm done. It's not the LeBron era. You know what I mean? So I think Steph deserves this credit, and I'm all here for it. Steph is the only one with his own team and been on the same team forever. Steph made the Warriors the highest, the most popular organization in NBA, technically. I think they might be the most expensive one, I believe. I could be wrong. Obviously, it's between them, the Lakers, and the Knicks, and the Celtics, but I think it's them. Even though the Lakers just sold for $10 billion or something like that, I think the Warriors are the number one franchise as far as like most expensive right now. Steph did that. Steph got 4 championships on the same team. Steph did that. He got a unanimous MVP. Steph did that. The only one ever. Steph did that. You know what I mean? So, you know, he hasn't needed to run around the league. He's shown that he can win without doing cheap stuff. He's shown that he can win where he was without ever leaving. That's not easy to do. So I think choosing Steph was a good choice. I really like that idea. So, you know, that's what I'm going to rock with. I'm going to rock with that. Moving forward, we're going to jump into something that Dwyane Wade said recently. Because I don't know if Dwyane Wade is a friend or a foe of LeBron. I don't know if they still talk. I feel like there's a part of LeBron James that's like, I wish this ninja would just shut up. But he won't. You know, for better or for worse, because he said some dumb stuff about other people as well. But he's giving away all the tea. Dwyane Wade just don't care no more, man. I think he's already been through the fire with his kid and everything. And he's like, what can you guys do to hurt me now? There's nothing else anybody could ever do to hurt me anymore than you already have. So I'm going to just let it fly, you know. But he recently came out and is basically saying like, yo, LeBron sitting up here doing all this praise worship, talking about we're going to not 5, not 6, not 7. He was like, yo, my ninja, leave me out of that. Right? So let's hear what he had to say, and then we'll come back and discuss it.
If you could delete one thing from the internet, would it be the banana boat, or would it be the introductory press conference for the Heat? Where
Which one?
The not 1, but 2, but 3, but 4. You guys
I don't care about that.
Well, it was kind of funny.
Yeah, but it's just jokes.
Yeah. Well, no, you guys were serious.
No, it wasn't you guys. It was one person who said it was everybody once saying that. It was one person who said not 3, not 4, not.
What was going through your head when you said not 3, not 4? Were you
tripping.
like,
I was like, slow down, bro.
At what point
stop.
were you like, oh shit, this is too many?
Well, first of all, that was one of the things that it's supposed to be internal. That's an internal conversation.
It was a packed audience.
Yeah, but it wasn't supposed to go out to everybody. That's one of those moments that
Yeah.
you're not supposed to go out to everybody. What you say in house, stay in house, supposed. You know, that's supposed to have been just for us. Now, if we go back, run a clip, look at me when he's saying it. I put my head down like, woo-wee. Because I had won a championship before. I knew how hard it was to obviously win the championship. So it's no way. Like, yes, we thought we were going to be a problem. Yes, we thought we was about to run the table. But we also knew the league is very, very good. And it's not that damn easy. So when he was doing the not 1, not 2, we in the moment. We're feeling ourselves. And it became something that people, you know, took and made it like factuals.
Yeah.
Like we signed the contract and said we're going to win 7 championships.
Oh, yeah, everyone made fun of it.
Yeah, but it's cool.
Yeah.
It's jokes. It ain't not a joke.
And that's Dwyane Wade basically saying like, okay, LeBron James was sitting up there, not 5, not 7, not 8. And he said, yo, that wasn't me. That was him. That was that guy. He was the one doing that. And I was sitting in the back like, huh? What is he talking about? Like, he said, because I already won a championship. I know how hard it is to win a championship. All the sacrifice, the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into that. And he thinks that LeBron just thought it was going to be easy. And then Wade said that these are the type of things that should have been in-house, and it's just kind of jokes. And nah, man, nah. That's not how it works. That's not how it works, Sir Wade. It's not how it works, man. He went out publicly and was talking all this trash because he really believed that it was going to be that easy. And that's why he signed up for it. And herein lies one of the big problems with people like LeBron James. I'm also aggravated because Dwyane Wade, you knew these things, man. Like, a lot of this stuff you knew, and you still went along with it. And He's talked about it. He's talked about, I just thought winning championships was more important. But I'd really like to ask Wade, like, yo, was it worth it? Because people don't look at you like that no more, man. Even that one ring that you won, if you would have never joined this Heat super team, you would have been Giannis and Joker, probably. People don't even talk about you no more the way that they should. Like, Kobe and Mike are an anomaly. You can't even, like, they're, like Q Rich said, they're out of the picture. They're in the atmosphere. Their talent when they played, they're in another world. They're on another planet. They're Saiyans. Right? They're Saiyans from another planet that came to Earth. And it's hard. You can't compete with Goku and Vegeta. They're just different. Right? They're just different. But the thing that's crazy is that, you know, Wade was a normal, amazing player. And we don't even act like he was. Now, some people say, oh, he's probably the third best shooting guard of all time. Fine. But that's not the type of... He deserves more than that. And not saying he should be better than Kobe and Mike. That ain't happening. But he deserves more adulation, to be talked about more as how truly great he was. But he gave all that up. And I just don't understand it. I feel the same way about Chris Bosh. I feel the same way about Kevin Love. I feel the same way about AD. Luka and Kyrie kind of had no choice. They were around, and LeBron somehow got to them based on circumstances. But the rest of those guys, willingly signed up to become chopped liver. And I will never understand it. But Wade saying, I knew what it was like to be a champion. And I knew it was harder than that. But again, that exposes LeBron, like I said. It exposes him for thinking that I was just going to walk over here and win championships easy. And that also goes to my theory that, you know, other people have said this. I don't think LeBron ever fully like experienced. I don't think he's ever been as his true greatest self. His best years to me were his first years on Cleveland. When he left and went to Miami, he was a different guy. He wasn't the same player, and that's not better. He lost a lot of his creativity. His game became very like one-dimensional, and he realized it's almost like he decided, if I surround myself with really good people, then I could just play like a statue and win that way. He was way more dynamic, had way more moves, was way more fluid. Pause. No bad boy. On his first stint in Cleveland. And so, you know, but that changed when he joined the Heat, became way more stiff. And it just seems like Wade knew a lot of this stuff and still signed up for it. And I just don't get it. You know, I just don't get it. I know he paints his nails now, so I don't know if he just liked LeBron, like really liked LeBron. I don't know, like if he was just really close to him, like on another level, you know. I'm not, that sounds weird. I just mean like, you know, a guy that paints his nails, maybe he looks at a brother closer than just a straight brother. Maybe it's not way too far out of bounds, but with a different level of adulation for that person that the normal ninja doesn't necessarily have. You know what I mean? So, but I don't know. But again, this is just interesting to look at it in hindsight now, because, you know, he knew that. He just never said anything for all these years. And LeBron, you know, sitting up here thinking it was going to be easy. But that, again, that just tells you he wanted it easy. He thought it was just going to be easy. And I argue that's why LeBron James has lost so much, even though he's been to the finals so much. He never mastered winning. Never mastered it. Never really mastered it. You have to master it. You have to go through the hard stuff. You have to build the calluses so that once you reach that pinnacle, you don't lose no more. And I don't feel like he ever did that. You know, I don't feel like he ever did that. But, you know, what do you think, man? Do y'all think that Wade basically... Y'all think Wade is out of bounds for telling this about LeBron James? Or do you think that, you know, you like him being honest and telling the truth about different circumstances? Because these are questions that we've all had. Like, what's the point of even saying that? And he even said, like, that should have been in-house. I looked at that and I was like, I don't know about that, you know? But yeah, it's just interesting to look at, you know? It's just interesting to look at. So do you think he was out of bounds, or do you think this is fair game? Or are you happy that he came out and said this? Are you not happy? Let me know in the comment section. You know, it's up to you. Let me know what you think about it. So at the end of the show today, I'd like to even it out with more football topics, but I'm just kind of jumping back into this, and it's also a new format. So, and the season is just kind of kicking off. I think we're going into week 4, so the first month of the season is this upcoming weekend. Thursday night, which is tonight. This is what I'm recording this. We just saw the Cardinals lose to the Seattle Seahawks. It was a pretty good game, honestly. At the end, it was pretty good. And I want to have more football topics, and I will definitely work on that next week moving forward. Really try to pay attention to more games, more players, and things like that. Figure out my niche. I don't know if you guys realize, but the way I do my channel, I do talk about what's actually happening currently in the actual field or court. But I also like a lot of the side stories. I think it's interesting to talk about some of those, some of the things people say, some of the viewpoints, the ways people look at certain things. I think it's interesting to have those discussions and put a little jazz on it. And I have to get more into the sense of that with football, the same way I'm doing it with basketball. But the final 2 topics for today that we're going to discuss are the Baker Mayfield comeback and Ryan Clark. We're going to have a slapping or capping, because Ryan Clark is at it again. That boy is the gift that keeps on giving. We got a couple gifts that keep on giving. Joe Mazzulla is one of them to me, and when he talks, I try to put him on. Obviously, LeBron is going to keep giving you a lot of great sound bites. Wade, Melo, Scottie Pippen, you know, they're gonna fill up your roster. Now that you got guys like KG, Paul Pierce, they're talking daily, Richard Jefferson. There's a lot of guys out there that are a gift that keep on giving. Kendrick Perkins, they give you sound bites, right? But jumping into the football to close this out, Baker Mayfield, right? Baker Mayfield is interesting because I believe he was a Heisman Trophy winner, and he was looking like a bust in Cleveland, and he was cocky, so he was out there talking his stuff, feeling cocky and just horrible. Just things weren't going well, and a lot of us wrote him off. But then he goes over to the Buccaneers, and I mean, the boy's been balling. Him and who's the coach over there? Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles looks like somebody that if his grandmother tried to hug him, he'd be like, "Cut that out," you know. My friends are watching, and she'd be like, "Todd, I didn't know you had friends." "I don't. Just get your bloody hands off of me." Like, Todd Bowles looks like that. He looks like he doesn't tell his kids he loves them, but he does love them. And you don't know how he expresses it, but they know he loves them. He's mad funny to me when I watch him, bro. He cracks me up. He's emotionless. He just looks like, what does he say to people when they do something wrong? Like, I don't. Does he get a moderator? Does he get a moderator? Does he get a translator? Like, does he whisper in somebody else's ear and tell them to yell at the team? Like, that's what Todd Bowles looks like to me. But Todd got Baker playing out of his mind, you know. And Baker's fun to watch, bro. Like, I mean, I'm an Eagles fan, and Tampa seems to be one of the only teams that has beaten us in the last few years, and we keep losing to them, and it's annoying because Todd Bowles' defense is like A1, and he brings that blitz like heavy. But Baker's fun to watch, man. He slings that thing around. Pause. No diddy. And he you know, he's tough. The games that they've won so far this year has just pretty much been down to the wire, and he closes them out. Baker puts the team on his back and finishes it. Now, hopefully that won't happen this week because they're playing the Philly Eagles, my guys. But, you know, Baker's been tough. And you see here, this guy, this Davis Maddock guy, said it will never not be funny when Baker is referred to as a comeback story, and the thing he came back from was being a Cleveland Brown. And that's all facts, in my opinion. That is all facts. there's, Baker Mayfield is the only thing that changed is he left the Browns, and all of a sudden he's balling. Look at his face. He just looks like a dude that needed to get out of there. He looked like he got out of prison, man. You know what I mean? He looked like a Sour Patch Kid on the right that wasn't allowed to get his juice box. And then you see him in the Buccaneers. He's smiling. He's got his face paint on. He's ready to go, man. He's ready to win. And when we take a look at this next graphic here, I mean, the numbers don't lie. I mean, he's got 74 touchdowns. He's first since he joined the Buccaneers. He's first in the league. And when did he join the Buccaneers? Let's be more specific. Let's be more detailed here. When did Baker Mayfield join the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? 2023. So actually, too, just
according to Wikipedia,
he went to
the free encyclopedia.
He went to the Panthers first, and nothing really special there. Better, but not special. And then he's on Tampa, and since he joined Tampa in 2023, he's first in touchdowns, second in yards, 8,926. And his regular season record is not like unbelievable, but he's winning. And these numbers are good enough to make you relevant. And so that's a big difference. So the joke is that, he's not having a comeback. He just left the Browns. That's what he's coming back from. He's coming back from leaving the Browns. And that's the joke that they have. And I tend to agree with it, man. And I'm happy for Baker Mayfield. He's cocky, but in the right way, I believe. I think he's tasted what it's like to not be at the top, and he fought his way back. And people that have that level of resilience, those are the people you want to keep around you. Those are the people you want to give the utmost respect to, because he could have easily quit. He could have been a bust. His career could have been one and done. But he believed in himself. The people around him believed in him. And, now look at him. And in fact, what year did he get drafted? I'm interested in that. What year did Baker Mayfield get drafted? He got drafted, let me see. What year was Baker Mayfield drafted into the NFL? I want to say 2018. Yeah, 2018. So things were rough, but he hung in there, and now, he's playing at an elite level. So shout out to Baker Mayfield. We want to give him credit for that. Definitely give him credit for that. And what do you think? Do you think Baker Mayfield struggled because he just wasn't good early on? Do you think that he had to learn the game? Do you think it was? What do you think it was? What do you think it was? Do you think it was that, or do you think it was just that he was on the Browns? So do you think he had to learn the game, wait his time, figure it out the NFL, or do you think the Browns are just a terrible organization that set him up for failure, and he finally got with a good organization, with a good head coach that believed in him, that made things simple, and he's thriving and striving out here. So, you tell me, what do you think in the comment section? Ball is life. You know how that goes. And so we're coming to our final topic of this cast. And we got a good old episode of slapping or capping with the brother Black Power, Ryan Clark. Slapping or capping. Ryan Clark, come here, boy. Let me talk to you for a minute. So, Ryan Clark is out here, spreading things again. You know how he likes to do. This time, he's talking about generational talents, and he's got his eyes set on 3 particular quarterbacks. These quarterbacks are Tom Brady, Sir Peyton Manning, and Sir Drew Brees. Now, for some reason, Ryan Clark doesn't think they're generational talents. He's saying it with his chest. I heard him say it 2 times. In fact, let's just play a snippet of what he had to say.
Few of them. I think there's less than what you think. I think John Elway was a generational talent. I think Patrick Mahomes is a generational talent. I don't think Tom Brady, I don't think Drew Brees, I don't think Peyton Manning are generational talents. I think Andrew Luck ended up being a generational talent. I don't think there's a ton of them out there.
So on first listen, you think, I know if you're anything like me, I was thinking to myself, like, this guy's got to be out of his mind. How dare he talk about Tom Brady and Peyton Manning like that, right? But when cooler heads prevail, you do have to think about it a little bit, and you have to wonder, does he have somewhat of a point? And so that's what we need to figure out on today's episode of Slapping or Capping. Is Ryan Clark continuously out of his mind, or honestly, sometimes he may have some pretty good points? So let's break this down. Let's get down to the bottom of it. Let's think about what he's saying. Give the brother about 2 to 3 seconds to at least let it marinate in your mind, and then we'll figure out whether or not he's slapping or he's capping. Slapping or capping. Slapping or capping. Welcome to the segment. It's sponsored by nobody. None of my segments are currently sponsored, other than by the good old people in my back pockets, which are sometimes just my hands in my back pocket when I'm reaching for my wallet, I guess. I don't know. So, Ryan Clark, I gave you a little bit of a snippet of what he was talking about, and at first listen, I was like, man, what is this guy talking about now? Ryan Clark, I know I say certain people are the gifts that keep on giving, but Ryan Clark is definitely at the top of that list. And the funny thing about it is, there's things Ryan Clark says where I'm just like, wow, like, he almost has like an Obama type thing at first listen, but then when you listen a little bit further, I do think he be taking certain things way too personal and way too far. You know, definitely when it comes to like color sometimes. I think he just takes it to another level. But honestly, the guy can speak very well. He seems to carry himself very well. I wish he would just lighten up on people that are not as melanated. Just a little bit, man. Just give him a little bit of a break. But overall, let's talk about what he said. And the first thing that you heard in that first clip is that he thinks that Peyton Manning and them, he believes that they are not generational talents. And I'm going to play the whole thing and let you listen to the whole thing. And let's start breaking it down. And we'll decide if he's slapping or capping.
Few of them. I think there's less than what you think. I think John Elway was a generational talent. I think Patrick Mahomes is a generational talent. I don't think Tom Brady, I don't think Drew Brees, I don't think Peyton Manning are generational talents. I think Andrew Luck ended up being a generational talent. I don't think there's a ton of them out there.
But first off, I think the generational talent conversation is a fun one, right? It's a fun one to have. And when you mention Manning, Brady, and Brees, if any of those three is going to be a generational talent, to me it's Peyton Manning. Right? Peyton Manning was the number one quarterback when he came out of high school. He was the surefire number one overall pick. He had a level of arm talent and understanding, anticipation based on the generation he was in, the era he was in that made him special. Hard work made Tom Brady special. A will to win, dedication. He changed who he was. When you go 199th overall, the talent piece of your generational talent piece is missing. But he's the greatest of all time. Drew Brees built himself into one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play this game. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. They've had generational careers, both individually and team success. But they are not generational talents to me in that. Right? When you look at Brett Favre, 3 straight MVPs, the way he could throw a football, the physicality in which he played with. You even take a guy like John Elway, who was able to say, if I got to go to Baltimore, I'm going to go play baseball. Right, that level of physical talent, the way he moved in the pocket, the way he threw the football, like those things make them different. And I think you even move forward, you go into other sports. Kobe Bryant is my favorite basketball player of all time. I think he had a generational career. I think his impact to the game, the way he worked, the focus he played with. He's not a generational talent because LeBron James is a generational talent. Like the chosen on his back wasn't because he wasn't God-gifted. It was because he was. And I think that is what I was trying to explain to people. Randy Moss, good in any era. Adrian Peterson, good in any era. Junior Seau, good in any era. It's players like that that say, hey, these are generational talents. And I'm going to say this. He didn't get to live long enough. Sean Taylor was different than we'd ever seen. There are tall people that want to play safety now because of that man. That's a generational talent, right? And Brian Dawkins, who is my personal own favorite safety, he's not. I used to watch him because I was like, man, some of this I might be able to do. Sean could do things I could not. And so when we say generational talent, it's a person or an athlete that has some things that can't be taught, that can absolutely change the game. And I'm going to say this, of my time, if we're talking about quarterbacks I played, the greatest talent, who I consider a generational talent, is Aaron Rodgers. Because when we played that Super Bowl, we were right so many times, and it didn't matter because of his talent level. Not his IQ, not his anticipation, not his studying, how talented he was.
All right, so that's Ryan Clark actually giving us his 2 cents on his generational talent take. And on first listen, again, you start sitting there to yourself, you're thinking, man, what is this guy talking about? Here we go. But honestly, I have to admit, he has a point, right? So he talks about if anybody between like Brees, Manning, and Brady is going to be the generational talent, it would be Peyton Manning. And I actually agree with that. I get what he's saying. Peyton Manning was highly touted like most of his football career. He struggled a little bit when he first came into the league, but then once he started, once he got it together and started cooking, I mean, he became the great Peyton Manning that we see today. Tom Brady was never really supposed to be anything special, but he worked his way into something special. And also, if you really pay attention to Drew Brees was okay when he was on the Chargers, right? He was on the Chargers, and he was an okay player. He was pretty good, but he really didn't take off until he got with, in my opinion, he didn't really take off until he got with Sean Payton and he won the Super Bowl. Before that, on the Chargers, I believe he still had the same people that Phillip Rivers had. I mean, ultimately, Phillip Rivers took over that spot, but before Phillip Rivers, it was Drew Brees, and I think he had hurt his shoulder, and I feel bad for him because now he talks about like he can't even move his arm right, but he was good, and he became really good on the Saints once he had Sean Payton. Their link up was a crazy connection. So he wasn't out here just slinging that thing from left to right. Pause. No, did he? From the jump. So to that extent, Ryan Clark has some truth there. Tom Brady, again, wasn't supposed to be anything like he was. He was like 7th pick. He mentioned 199th. Brady came in because basically Drew Bledsoe went down, and Brady came in and just did what they needed him to do to win a game, win a Super Bowl. And he just never looked back. They stuck with him, and he just kept getting better and better and better. So his work ethic, right? And so, again, I think Ryan Clark has a point there. And then he mentioned some people like Andrew Luck and some, Aaron Rodgers. And definitely at the exact end, he said Aaron Rodgers, we knew what he was going to do, but his talent was so immense that it didn't matter. So, okay. I get what he's saying when he's talking about generational talent. I understand that, right? Most of these people are somehow freaks of nature in some way, shape, or form. Other players that come to mind, I would say, he mentioned Adrian Peterson in football. He mentioned Kobe. He mentioned LeBron James, who, yes, I believe is a generational talent. He mentioned some other people, too. He mentioned Sean Taylor, who was a bigger safety, and not just, like, strong. He was tall. He was pretty tall for a safety. They're not usually very tall players. Who else did he mention? I mean, you got to mention people like Reggie White. You got to mention Lawrence Taylor, where you talk about freaks. Barry Sanders. What's his name? The guy that retired recently from the Rams. Aaron Donald is a freak. He's like 5'10", bro, playing defensive tackle, and nobody could touch him. And his strength is insane, right? So I do believe there's some freaks of nature. He mentioned Randy Moss is a freak. Terrell Owens is a freak. Was Jerry Rice a freak? I don't know. Was Jerry Rice generational? I wasn't alive when Jerry Rice came out, so I can't really... I'd have to find an OG that's more OG than me to speak on that. But I actually think Ryan Clark has somewhat of a point. Now, he mentioned Kobe Bryant and said he's my favorite player, but he's not a generational talent. And then that comes in where, like, players like Brady and Kobe, But I don't know. Kobe should have been highly touted coming out of high school. He just came out at a time when they didn't pick him like that. You know, and he didn't start right away because they didn't let young players start, especially on the perimeter. So I don't know if Kobe, I can't really say Kobe wasn't a generational talent. I mean, what he was, once he got a chance to play, he was a monster. So and based on the reports and what people were saying, people like Byron Scott, Brian Shaw had mentioned it. I think Derek Fisher mentioned it. You know, they knew Kobe was a dog from day one. Nick Van Exel mentioned it. They knew Kobe was a dog from day one. He just didn't have an opportunity. So I don't know if I could say Kobe's not a generational talent. But I understand definitely what he's saying about Brady. But then again, I don't know. Because once he got the job, he never looked back. And so that's the thing. Like, maybe they don't come in. There's a part of me that feels like Ryan Clark is not factoring in the fact that maybe some of these guys maybe were generational talents that just didn't get the same opportunity. Excuse me. But, I mean, if you're looking at the draft picks, Brady was drafted like 199th. Like, I mean, that doesn't scream generational. So I get his point there. I don't know where Brees was drafted. I believe, like you said, Peyton Manning was drafted number 1. Andrew Luck was drafted high. You know, but I guess it also makes you beg the question, is it more important to be to be a generational talent or hungry and a student of the game? Because let's say he said his favorite player again in basketball was Kobe. Kobe wasn't drafted number 1, but he was a student of the game and had a hunger for the game. And then he became like the greatest, you know? Him and people like Mike. Now Mike was a generational talent, like off the rip. Like he came in swinging. I mean that's obvious. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal. These are guys that came in swinging. But I would argue Kobe maybe was too. They just didn't give him the same opportunity, the same chance. He also mentioned Brian Dawkins. I didn't like that. Don't take shots at my guy Doc. Brian Dawkins is arguably my favorite football player of all time. And I mean, he would knock the taste out of your mouth, man. He German suplexed the dude like he was Kurt Angle or Brock Lesnar in the middle of the game, man. Like he was jumping over the line of scrimmage, jumping over people like he was a Wolverine, man. And somebody made a video where they were like, "Oh, thank you, Jesus!" Ha! Like it was like showing him hit people, and he would be like, "Hallelujah!" You know, and it's actually pretty funny because he's like really. As far as I know, he's a big-time Christian, really into God. And he sure lets out all that anger he has for the devil on his opponents when he was playing. Thank you, Jesus. Sorry I gave you a concussion, you know, that type of work. But I think I'm going to be honest here. I think he has a point. I think Ryan Clark has a point. He has a point. And I can't take that away from him. You know what I mean? I can't take it away from him. So with that said, I'm going to give Ryan Clark his just due. I'm going to let that boy breathe. And I'm going to be honest. I think he's slapping. I think he's slapping on this. I think he's definitely slapping. He has a case for his point. You know, generational talents could do some freaky things. The Patrick Mahomes, the Aaron Rodgers. You know, they kind of come in right away, you know, showing you a lot of this talent. And then there's the guys that maybe take a little bit more time, you know, to develop and become great. You know what I mean? Maybe there's those guys. So you can't be mad at that. You know what I mean? You can't be mad at that. So I'm going to give it to Ryan Clark, and I'm going to say he's slapping. So that is going to be the end of our show. Let's hit that outro. On your way out, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Please make sure you hit that notification bell. Please make sure you comment, because guess what? Ball is life, and I guarantee you I will respond. And please hang on towards the end of this video for some other suggested videos that we know you will love. I'm very thankful for you listening. I'm very thankful that you lasted this long. Very appreciative, very humble. Much love. That somehow you'll never get over me.